Welcome again to another presentation by Tuleburg Press and The Right Place. This presentation is about the acquisition of our letter presses. The first one is the Pearl. Now this picture happens to be of Wendy Maxwell, Bill Maxwell's spouse. Bill Maxwell runs the Bookmark, and most of his dealings now, of course, are online. But he purchased this Pearl press from the estate of Marvin Malone, and as a result his daughter Krista is a very significant supporter and cheerleader of the Right Place and the letterpress studio, because this press used to belong to her father. So here it is. For the first 2 years that I had it, I had to have it stored at Delta College because we didn't actually have a physical space. When we did move into Cort Tower and occupy Suite 101, which is the ground floor, we had a wonderful volunteer who came and helped clean it and get it ready. This is John Rauschenberger, and he did all the research to acquire the new rollers, etc., etc. It was wonderful having someone who was just committed to the press. Here she is, all cleaned up and ready to go, and one of the interesting things is she was refurbished, not restored. So the work table on the front was made by Jim Polstra of Affordable Binding Equipment in Lodi, and now here she is ready to work. This is what the studio looked like early on in the year. We were still using folding tables for workspaces. We hadn't really outfitted it for standing and setting type. But we do have quite a bit of equipment gathered. We've got much more type. We have more furniture. We have reglet. We have a lot of lead spacing. First thing we did was involve the young people who do come to the studio in this whole process. And Giselle Rodriguez was a WorkNet employee and then a part-time employee at the Right Place while she was still a sophomore at Edison High School. The first thing she really had to learn how to do was sort type into a California case, and eventually she learned how to set type and print. This is what a brand new acquisition of type looks like when it comes in a box, and how it all has to be put away. Again, more sorting and type distribution. And then last Christmas break, I saw Bob Laird's poem online, printed it out, and spent one fabulous day setting that poem. Then we got into smaller jobs, of course, just to get the press running and to show people what we were capable of. So we made a lot of cards. Here is an example of just work on the press. And it's important for people to know that when we are operating a press, we do so with safety in mind, and we learned from the San Francisco Center for the Book how to clean the press with Crisco, how to emulsify the ink, and how to do a wash with vegetable oil, and then a very light wash with what they call California wash at the end to pick up the last bit of print residue. In the far right, you'll see a wooden, actually it was a potting table, and that was acquired from the estate of Roy Hogarth, who was an artist with the Stockton Art League. And then Jim Polstra, again from Affordable Binding, made us a great top for it. Last year for Fully Booked number 4, we printed our own invitations, and those went over, I think, very well in the community. And the follow-up thank you cards were also printed on the Pearl using a great Old English type and a line from Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. I can no other answer make but thanks and ever thanks. And that's on handmade paper that we also made here at the Right Place. Also at Christmas time, we had a wonderful letterpress printing class where everybody made their own Christmas cards. And here they all are in the back running the Pearl. But for kids, we simplify the process and we use these small tabletop presses, also made by Affordable Binding Equipment. And we practice on various things, paper bags and on all kinds of recycled paper. Here it shows you what the kids in our after-school program do with our wooden letters and some of the larger type in the chases that go in the tabletop presses. This is Janie. She's happy with her work. She set the job of this birthday card for one of her friends. Here's more kids from the after school program setting their own wooden type with the furniture spacing. And now we move to the other press. We acquired the C&P in January. Ever Rodriguez is a printer in Palo Alto, and once you become a member of the extended letterpress family, you'll find that the network works very well to find equipment and to offload equipment. And he alerted me to Pool Press's desire to get rid of 2 presses. And so I worked with Marilyn Poole in Berkeley to acquire everything in her studio. Now, this is the house in Berkeley. And you'll notice those cement steps up the side of the house. That was the job. Get the press up those steps. The next picture to the top right shows the front of the house and the incline over to the street. And the last picture, far right corner, that's my RAV4 up in the corner, and that's another incline. That is the route that the 2 presses had to take. This is Marilyn Poole and her husband Jim Adams, who's an international angler, writes about fishing. Marilyn is an accomplished but retired miniature book artist and is really one of the chief benefactresses now of Groundworks Letterpress. This is the Potter. This is a proofing press. We didn't really want to take it, but I felt like because of her largesse, because of her kindness to us, I thought I would just help her get rid of everything in the studio. This is really helpful for just proofing something before you put it on a motorized press. This is the Chandler and Price. It is motorized, and so far I've not really been confident to run it at full speed. I still have it cranked down pretty low, plus I use the trip lever a lot and just print one at a time. What we had to do to move the press out of the studio was to get it up off the ground and onto a wooden pallet. And then it had to be blocked onto the pallet and tied down. So here now both of the presses are out of the studio and onto the deck. Then a ramp had to be built of 2x12s, and you'll see that there's 2 parts to it, the lower part and the upper part. And the upper part is off the ground, but as the press moves up, it cantilevers down and allows the press to come right to the same level as the concrete. Then they attached the press on the skid, on the pallet, with a come along to the truck out on the street level and just started inching the press up the incline. This whole process took all day. Here's from the front as the press is coming up the incline, and every little obstacle had to be dealt with in terms of a slight move, a bit of leverage, a bit of engineering to get this thing through this narrow space and up this incline. Here it is coming off the ramp. You can see how the ramp is now pushed down toward the concrete, and she'll just come right off of there. Now this is moving it off the incline and across the front of the house. And now finally the Potter is coming up the ramp. And here it is at the top of the incline. And now finally both presses are on the flatbed truck and ready to be delivered to Stockton. It was 9:30 at night. There was no way we were going to attempt to get them delivered. We just called it a day, and we met again the following day. Now here's the crew putting in the Potter over against the wall, and then the Chandler and Price in the middle of the room. And here is what the finished studio looked like. Just within a few weeks, we acquired more type, a few more cases of material from another printer in Palo Alto, and we are pretty much ready to go now. This has been a tremendous journey for us. Thank you very much for watching.